with generative AI doing what it can do, and anyone can make videos of anything. Someone could rip our faces from this podcast and, have a video of you robbing a bank. Chris, it's just been wild.
That spark of innovation, it's just waiting for the perfect combination of tools and talent to bring it to life. Welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. I'm your host, Chris Fanchi, a recovering startup founder, veteran SaaS marketer, turned dev tech enthusiast and growth specialist. Each episode, we connect with the builders, the visionaries, and the problem solvers who are redefining what's possible with today's technology and pioneering the websites, apps, and software products of tomorrow. These are the conversations that transform how we build, how we sell, and how we scale technology businesses in a world where the tech evolves by the minute. Ready to stay ahead of the curve? This is Pitch, Build, Scale.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Big North Marketing and specialize in helping dev shops and SaaS companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your SaaS or dev business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. We have a really exciting guest today, Chelsie Hall, CEO of ViralMoment. Her team built an AI to watch millions of social videos across TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, helping brands like Coca-Cola, Disney, and Warner Brothers decode what's trending before it trends. Chelsie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for having me.
So I always like to start with a little bit about your background. How did you first get into technology, and how did you end up where you're at today?
Yeah. I started as a product manager. That was my first technology job for like a healthcare company way back in the day. So that was where I first kind of dipped my toe in the water. But I went back to grad school at Carnegie Mellon, and I was working as a subject matter expert and a freelancer for groups like the Department of Defense, Department of State. And I had the coolest job. Groups like the CIA would come and they'd say, hey, we need to understand, what do people in Afghanistan think about the price of bread? Or they'd have some question like that. And my whole job was to go find technology that they could use to answer their questions. But during this time, I was like looking at all these technologies and all these like really cool and interesting questions about like the world. And I realized how powerful online information was to help us understand the world. But there were no tools that could read video. Every tool was really focused on like text and the text-based internet. And I was like, well, there's a lot of really important information happening inside video. And there was no way to get it out. So this is probably back in like 2019, 2020. And I was like, someone's got to build this. And I kept looking and looking for some kind of solution, and it didn't exist. Lo and behold, here we are. I was lucky at Carnegie Mellon. I crossed paths with Shada, my co-founder, and she's worked for NASA, helping them pilot drones with computer vision. So I was like, you are the person who could figure out how to build this. So her and I put our heads together, and we've created ViralMoment, the first AI that can read social video at scale.
So how did the process of putting that all together and building something like that, especially you're talking about before the big generative AI boom, right? So
Yeah.
how did you go about building the first versions?
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. I think we were in Techstars in 2021, and that was when we were really figuring out a lot of like how this tech would work. And that was before, OpenAI dropped whatever that first ChatGPT version was.
Mm.
So at the time, yeah, it still felt like we were building in the golden age because all these models were coming available that could read video, or they could like take a piece of a video or, identify the audio transcript. So we were kind of parsing a lot of those together and putting that in databases. So it was very like we were hacking it for sure, but it was really fun because just between her and I, and with, not extreme amounts of money, we could actually get something off the ground. So it was really, I was overjoyed and really excited when ChatGPT dropped, because I was like, this is just more fuel. It was just like another even more powerful version of some of the other things that we were starting to play around with.
Okay. Did you build your own AI, or were you leveraging some of the existing models? How did
Yeah,
that work?
a whole mixture of the two. We have a couple patents at ViralMoment actually that are, so if you think about a video, there's so many pieces to it, right? There's an audio transcript, there's text on screen. I might be wearing there might be text in screen, like if I'm wearing a t-shirt that says AC/DC or something. There's context, there's tone of voice, there's things happening all around. So we use off-the-shelf AI for some of the really basic things. Like we don't need to build an AI that can just read read text that exists already. But what we do is kind of piece together a lot of those different things to start to build meaning. And then the really powerful part is, so it's cool to read one video and start to understand that like a human, but it's when you read hundreds of thousands of videos every day, then you start to really sense like, whoa, what's trending? And then around that, same thing, we have built some of our own AI, but then we've also layered in, we didn't need to reinvent the wheel on some of the basic things that already existed.
Okay. So what is the compute power needed to watch that many videos?
It's a lot, it's a lot. And that's where I would just say my CTO Shada is incredible because we've been able to take huge volumes of data, of video, and fairly effectively, get that off the ground. That being said, even with really efficient models, I spent over $1 million on compute power last year in 2024. So we're efficient, we're effective, we're doing amazing things, but video is hard. And there's a lot of it out there.
So was there a moment where you knew as you're building this company that you were actually solving something that no one else was able to solve?
Yeah. It's cool when you're like solving a problem, but a problem for problem's sake doesn't do much good. So the real meaningful times are when I've been talking to a client or a prospect or someone who I know I can help and they lean in and their eyes get big. Like there's this moment where you just know, and I feel like I see you nodding, like I feel like most people who are building something have felt this where you're like, I've made something that can help you. And it's one of the best feelings in the world. So I do remember very early days, we were pitching to the Coca-Cola company. Healthy Coke had just gone viral. It was on the Today Show. And the CMO actually saw Healthy Coke on the Today Show. And he was like, wait a minute. I spend millions of dollars to understand and what's happening online, what are people doing, what's going on in the world. And I'm seeing this very potentially impactful trend to my brand on the Today Show. What the heck? And so the team that we were working with had just been getting beat up by this. And they had, I think, 14 or 15 people sitting in a room just watching videos and like tracking links in spreadsheets. And I told them what we could
Man.
do. And they went, oh my gosh. Like you could just feel the relief in everyone's like, face and body language. And that was like a huge moment for me. So it was like, I know this huge enterprise needs to understand what's happening online and in video, and we can help. And no one else has done this because trust me, Coca-Cola is on they know what tools are out there. Uh, that was a cool moment.
Yeah, that's very cool. Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Has that always been part of your background, or is that something you came up just the
Yeah.
opportunity was too good to pass up?
No, I always have. I'm like a reluctant entrepreneur is maybe a good way to put it. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. So I think between my parents, grandparents, and their parents, there's been more than 18 businesses started, some wildly successful, some total failures, and everything in between. So it's kind of in my blood at the end of the day. I think my mom herself has started like 8 businesses. So I grew up behind the counter of several different businesses, and it's just sort of the way I know how to operate.
So, what does Viral Moment as a company look like today in terms of your team size and number of clients, where you guys are at
Yeah.
as a company?
Yeah, we're small but mighty. We've raised a seed stage. We've not raised a Series A round yet, although I am hoping and expecting that later this year I'll be in a position to be raising. I'm really chasing like a speed of growth, some momentum that I think I will be able to raise off the back of. But no, we've done millions of dollars of revenue. We're 4 years old or so. I have a team of 10 people, some freelancers, some full-time, some not. So we're still pretty dang scrappy, but we're rocking it. And really, I would say like hitting above our weight class with the clients that we support and help.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. How did you land? So, obviously, that conversation with the Coca-Cola person, like, how did you land some of these bigger clients, these big names?
At the end of the day, it's all about like the problems I'm solving and who's experiencing that problem. I've built a tool that like there was this huge gap where like the biggest brands in the world really care what people are saying online. People are talking about them online a lot online. Video is blowing up, and without Viral Moment, there's no way for them to see in video. So if you just think like, how did I land the big clients? Like I could, talk to you about my sales process, and there's a lot of like lovely tricks and intros and feats that you do to get in front of these people. But the real thing that's been magic for me is just that like I solve a problem that and pain that they're experiencing, and that's people are talking about them online. It's like that's at the end of the day, that's where the magic has been. And it's funny actually, because smaller brands who I think it might be easier to sell to haven't had the same problem traditionally. Like in the earliest days of TikTok, if you just ran some like, small, growing, tiny brand, like there might not be a lot of online mentions of you or something like that. So I would say I am excited and thrilled because the dynamic is now changed where it's not just the biggest brands in the world who care about what's on social. Everyone sees the value and cares. But the earliest days, it was like the biggest brands were the ones that really were like, oh crap, I need to know what's on here.
Yeah, it seems like there are kind of two categories of what you can help, and maybe you can dig into this a little bit more. But there's kind of the branding side and getting your name out there and actually going viral versus almost like a PR side, which seems like what the bigger brands are worried about is we want to know if something bad is circulating or something good, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's almost more defensive as opposed to proactive with the
Yeah.
smaller brands.
I would say like ViralMoment, what it truly is, and our name, maybe we're misnamed at the end of the day. We don't necessarily say, oh, I'll help you go viral. You can't like go into my tool and click a few buttons and go viral. And that's really not what it was made for either. We research and understand the internet. So someone who's an excellent strategist, a comms specialist, an insights leader can use our tool to understand what's going on. And now a brilliant strategist will take that and go, oh, okay, well, cool. Here's what we need to do to have success on social. So our tool absolutely like it supports brands with their social strategy. But at the end of the day, it's not just like, cool, this is an advertising solution and we're not an agency. We're a research tool that helps you to distill what is happening in the online conversations. So I'd say that's kind of part of the dynamic too, like part of really the core of what we do. Brand health is important, topic research is important, trend research is important. We read it all and come back to you and say, yeah, here's the dynamic around this thing.
So is your ultimate goal to be able to serve businesses of any size? You've got a lot of the big brands in there. Do you wanna grow more in that space, or are you looking to
Yeah,
expand to all industries and brand
excellent
company sizes?
question. And definitely both. I think we're always going to be focused on our clients and the people I serve are going to be B to C brands who need to grow, who care about what's online, who care about their digital footprint. Lucky for me, that's a lot of brands. And there's a big market there. So I'm continuing to focus on enterprise sales and, the biggest brands in the world that you know and love. Very focused on continuing to serve and sell to them. That being said, we did just start a new pricing model that I'm really excited to make ViralMoment accessible to some of those brands who don't have, six-figure budgets to and whole teams of data analysts. So just recently, we launched a $800 a month brand intelligence module that you can go in, you can use your credit card, it's self-serve, and marketing leaders can go and start to understand like what are the dynamics around my brand, my competitors, what's happening in the comments section, all of that, something you don't have to like work for Coca-Cola to care about. And I'm really proud of the hard work my team has done to make that accessible.
So what are you seeing in the social media space? Is there anything that you guys are keeping an eye on in terms of emerging trends or even emerging platforms?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the biggest dynamics, TikTok was first. TikTok really came in and they said, no, we're going to make sure everyone started caring about short form video because of TikTok. That being said, maybe because it's so much of a success, we're now seeing lots of other platforms. So a lot of what we're working on and what we are seeing in the market of social is social video and algorithmically driven feeds are here to stay. And also, social media used to be all about like your network, right? It was like, what is my mom best friend doing? What car did my friend from high school buy? It was like people you knew in your life and you were connecting with them on social. But that's no
Mhm.
longer the case. Now, I wanted to cook a burger the other night. Now, I'm not a good cook, Chris. I went on to TikTok and I searched burger recipe on TikTok instead of on just a website. And I saw all these great videos with people showing me intense detail. And I know my husband was changing the oil in the car the other day, and he searched it on TikTok as well. So we're also seeing that video and short form video and, just algorithmically driven, like video by people for people, is here to stay, and it's a totally new behavior. So, if you want to be found, if you want to meet customers, if you want to actually like connect with other people with similar interests or tap into a community, social is absolutely the way to do it. And a lot of the legacy social listening tools that are out there weren't built for that, right? They were built for a time where we just all had Facebook feeds of our friends. And that's just is like a totally different world. And so I'm really excited because we're building and we're first to market with this technology that helps brands meet the new world.
Yeah. Is your solution able to identify any of the AI content that's out there?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. We are working on some really, really cool things. So right now I don't have like a flag in my tool that says AI or not, or deepfake or not. But there's a couple indicators that can make you know that something is AI that we're experimenting with. It used to be like you had six fingers, in your videos. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
But there are certain flags, like the pixels are a different shape coming out of different models and things like that. So yes, we are working on some AI detection flags. And that's a huge thing for brand safety because, if anyone in their basement can make a video of a Coca-Cola bottle with a cockroach in it, that's huge, and that's a huge risk. And those videos look good and they look real.
They do.
So I'm really excited about the strides we're making in developing that technology.
That brings up another interesting situation where you've got not just brands, but individual personalities and people that have to worry
Yeah.
about their own personal brand being used and their likeness being used to promote products that they're not related to or things like that. Is that
Mhm.
something that you guys might work with in the future or even
Yeah.
now?
100%. So part of our new pricing model and kind of our self-serve model that I was telling you about earlier is, let's make this available to more people. And this is cool because a brand used to be like this huge, right? Like Coca-Cola or, thousands of people are working for brands or these heavy things. But more and more, that's getting democratized. So, you got your Mr. Beasts that are brands, but even less or so, right? There's how many creators and they are a brand and they're, coming to market with their own things. So yeah, we actually have recently continued to make the tool more accessible, easier to use, so that creators, people with personal brands, people with e-commerce or D2C brands can get value out of this tool as well.
So, what is something that most people get wrong about measuring social video that you guys take a different approach to?
That's a great question. Um, I think one of the things when you're looking to measure social videos, defining your goals really, really clearly and understanding what you're doing and letting that define your metrics. A lot of people are like, oh, this has a lot of views. It must be good. But at the end of the day, like a really great marketer is going to say, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to protect my brand? Am I trying to squash a crisis? Am I trying to launch a campaign? Am I trying to compare myself and benchmark myself against my competitors? Am I trying to build a video that goes viral? Depending on what you want to do, there's a different set of metrics or, scores that I would recommend people use. So I wouldn't say it's like what's the secret sauce of measurement. I would say it's really clearly define what are my goals, what do I need to do, and like what are the right metrics to help me understand this space the best. One example, we have this score. I love it. It's called the chatter score. And it's looking at like how buzzy something is, and we can actually tell you when a conversation is beginning to slow down with this chatter score. It's like almost the velocity of conversation is a great way to think about it. But it's scoring, it's thoughtful, complex scoring like that applied to the right use cases that like can really be magic for a brand,
Yeah, nothing's more embarrassing than jumping on a trend after it's dying down, right?
right?
So, are there any other platforms that you guys are keeping an eye on? Anything new that you're seeing coming along?
Yeah. There's definitely been, especially with TikTok potentially being banned, like a surge in alternative platforms that people are looking to. That being said, I think, again, you have to ask yourself your brand, who's my audience? What do they care about? Where are they going to be? We're really focused on the majors right now. So, like Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. I hear a ton about Blue Sky. There's Twitter isn't dead, X, whatever,
Mm,
which is right for the most part. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of kind of like what are the right places where the communities that I care about are showing up. And so, yeah, there's new platforms. There's new platforms every day, but I don't know that every brand has to be on top of all of them. They just have to ask themselves, what's the most important for me and for my users?
Do you guys provide anything for long form video, or is it specifically just short form?
No, we do. We support YouTube long form videos. So we're we're there. That's actually very, very new for us. We just launched YouTube this month. So we're still kind of like experimenting with it with some of our clients, but it's been powerful.
Yeah. How so?
Yeah, just, there's a lot on YouTube and people are telling powerful stories on YouTube. So I think social is a brilliant place to connect, like short form. You can connect, you can find your people, you can learn things quickly. But when people really tend to, really share something seriously, or, if I was going to do like a documentary on Coca-Cola and how they treat their workers or something like that, you might like show it for awareness and have some small things on TikTok, but then you'd probably show things with more depth and data and thought on YouTube. So we're already kind of seeing that difference and exploring how does that impact a brand and how does that impact what a brand needs to measure.
Okay. So talking a little bit more about your company in general, what are you guys aiming for in the next, say, 12 months? What is your goal as a company?
I mean, at the end of the day, the why we all show up to work is 'cause we want to help make the internet a better place. Like the internet is going crazy right now, right? With generative AI doing what it can do, and anyone can make videos of anything. Someone could rip our faces from this podcast and, have a video of you robbing a bank, Chris. It's just been wild. So I'm a mom and I am like care deeply about people in the world and how we're growing, and I want people to be better to each other. So what are we really focused on? Making the internet a better place and giving people and empowering people with those tools that they can use to find instances of themselves, understand what's out there, be able to see like, is this disinformation? Is this real? Is this, that's something I really am trying to deliver to people and to brands. From a company standpoint, we got to grow. We're a venture backed startup. So I'm expecting in the fall to raise our Series A to hit a couple really powerful growth milestones. Excited to sail past our $1 million mark in revenue for this year shortly. So just continuing to get through all those stages and keep knocking them down and keep growing.
Is your primary focus right now on more on the revenue side of things, or is it developing the product further, getting
It's
greater
revenue,
market reach?
unfortunately. I
Yeah.
think like as the CEO, it's revenue is just so important. That's what lets everything else work. I don't have a sales leader at ViralMoment right now. It's me. And so I need to be laser focused on revenue and to just empower my team to go work on product growth and innovation. That being said, like I'm a product girl in my heart. I was a product manager. I have like my master's degree is in product innovation. So it kind of kills me to not like get to spend my days tinkering and building and making sure that like we've got the coolest thing ever. But I'm so fortunate to have the coolest CTO ever. And yeah, I'm focused on revenue.
So what would a breakout year look like for Viral Moment from a company standpoint?
I mean, from a revenue perspective, like I would love to do $3 million in revenue this year, which I think it's possible, but I'm gonna have to it's go time for me to make something like that happen. So I think that would be a huge success. I could stand here in December and go, wow, if we can do that, I'll feel great. And again, raising that Series A, being able to grow the team, we're in this position where we've built something so special and so cool, and we're first to market with it. And I've spent the last few years kind of educating my clients saying, no, video matters. I swear you need to look inside this video. And all of a sudden, we're at a turning point where the market gets it. And the market is coming to me going, oh gosh, you have a solution? Great. Like, thank you. So, we've crossed that chasm and now everyone is like, yes. And I need to get really efficient in bringing this to market powerfully, quickly, getting it out there, making sure people know that they can get in, that they see a quick time to value. So, those are some of the things that I'm really focused on right now.
Okay. So without getting, I guess, too into the weeds on the technical side of things, I'm curious, when you scale up, does the compute power that you guys need for actually tracking the video scale up with it, or is that something that you can kind of scale beyond because it's working whether you have the clients or not?
It's a little bit of both. With volumes of data, I do need more compute. It's sort of interesting. I'm seeing across like the SaaS world, business models are kind of changing where like SaaS used to be about like how many seats you sold, and now it's increasingly moving towards like a usage-based model or something like that. So the SaaS margins and SaaS pricing is starting to undergo a transformation as we look at just like increased AI. It changes the whole dynamic. But that being said, my cost isn't linear with like compute and number of clients is not linear. And I absolutely, there's like dynamics where I can save more clients, more revenue. What really is valuable for me is if I can get clients in a single vertical, like if I can go get a bunch of beauty clients or something like that, because then I can just process all the beauty videos and then share those and reshare some of those with different clients.
So are you somewhat limited in the verticals that you're watching right now based on your client selection?
Not really. I think it's nice because there's just the verticals are big enough, like the beauty vertical. I could build a whole business just in the beauty vertical. We have some book publisher clients. We have some big media clients. We have some clients in quick serve restaurants in the food industry and CPG industries. So the industries I target have a critical mass of like tons of giant clients, tons of incumbents, tons of up and comers. So I would say it's not limiting. And again, you could probably build a business around like any one of these verticals. And I feel really fortunate to get to go be consultative to some of the biggest brands in the world across these verticals.
At the same time, that's causing you to have to go after the data in all these different areas, right?
Yeah,
So there's a cost to that. So scaling up any of those that you already have clients in would just be
even
have
better.
a
Yeah,
better
yeah.
return. Yeah.
I've got a big, soda beverage client. Let's go get 7 more. That helps a lot.
So what would you say is your biggest challenge going forward right now? What are you trying to solve in the next, say, 3 to 6 months as you're preparing for fundraising?
Yeah, I would say scaling effectively and efficiently and powerfully is harder than I expected. Like 0 to 1 was easy for me. Like getting my first customer, my first couple of customers, building some product, like, got that all day. But now when it's like, okay, how do we go get 100 clients, 1,000 clients? I haven't cracked that. So and I'm doing it efficiently in a way that like doesn't cost too much. That's like the biggest problem for me. So I'd say that's probably the trickiest thing is figuring out like what does efficient scaling look like and where do I spend and where do I budget and how do I make that happen? I don't know. Chris, figure it out and let me know.
So, hypothetically, if you had a magic wand and could fix one thing in the business right now that's either holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
Mm, be our sales funnel. I have kind of two different sales motions. Like I'm working on product-led growth movement and also an enterprise sales movement. And I'm trying to lead both. And, I just that, making those systems and processes work. Like, what does the appropriate growth engine look like? I think that's probably that. And then just like the cost of compute are the two things that keep me up at night.
Yeah, that's the tricky one. I think it's gonna get better in the future. I think we're on the path for that from a technology standpoint. But yeah, right now I'm sure it's gotta be crazy for you guys.
Every month, my compute bill makes me a little bit sick. Here we are.
Yeah. So I'll let you out of here on this. If we fast forward a year from now, what would make you look back and say, we nailed it?
I think figuring out my a repeatable, scalable growth engine that made me money, didn't cost me too much money would be amazing. If I just knew, hey, run this ad or send out this outbound campaign or do this mix of these things and clients will come and opportunities will come, then I'd be able to just keep rinsing and repeating.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Chelsea, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can our listeners find you and learn more about Viral Moment?
Yeah, I'd love everyone to book a call with me at viralmoment.com. It'd be fun to schedule a chat. And if anyone wants to try the tool, we have a 5-day free sample data trial at discover.viralmoment.com. So anyone who's interested is welcome to go log in, check it out, and then book a call with me.
Thank you so much. And for all of you listening, thank you as well. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and as always, keep pitching, keep building, and keep scaling.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch, Build, Scale. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.